Hey everyone, let's jump right into this. Today, we've got an absolutely incredible explainer lined up for you. We're going to break down a fascinating, zero-investment business model that is, frankly, taking the internet by storm right now. We dug deep into the source material, pulled out the absolute must-know details, and put together a step-by-step masterclass to show you exactly how creators are scaling to $20,000 a month. If you're looking for a structured, no-fluff breakdown, you are definitely in the right place. Okay, let's quickly look at our roadmap for this explainer. We'll cover 6 main areas. First up, the UGC opportunity. Then, finding target brands. Third, the value-first pitch. Fourth, building your portfolio. Fifth, making good UGC. And lastly, pricing and scaling up.
All right, Section 1, the UGC opportunity. Let's talk about the big picture. $200,000. Seriously, let that sink in for a second. According to our source material, that's the exact profit one creator made in a single year using this system. And honestly, here's the craziest part. He pulled this off working just 4 hours a day from a villa in Bali. What's even wilder is that before he stumbled onto this model in his late 20s, this creator was actually really struggling to make ends meet working as a DJ and a beatboxer. This whole thing completely transformed his life, and he scaled it with literally zero upfront financial investment. So we need to understand what this actually is, right? UGC stands for user-generated content. Basically, it's a marketing model where brands pay everyday people, we're not talking about massive celebrity influencers here, just normal folks, to casually promote their products on social media. You don't need a huge expensive camera crew or anything like that. You literally just use your smartphone to film a totally natural, authentic-sounding testimonial. It's designed to look like a real customer who just genuinely loves the product and wants to share it. And this perfectly explains why brands are just throwing money at this. I mean, think about traditional studio ads. They are ridiculously expensive. You need a whole crew, you gotta rent studio space, and honestly, to most of us watching today, they just feel super fake and salesy. But UGC videos, they're shot on a phone for a tiny fraction of the cost, they feel incredibly authentic, and most importantly, they actually convert at a much higher rate. In fact, our source notes that the brand Limewire was paying him $12,000 a month for these videos, and get this, that was back when he only had about 7,000 followers. Brands gladly pay that kind of money because at the end of the day, authentic social proof just works so much better than a polished commercial.
Moving on to Section 2, finding target brands. Basically, who do you actually pitch to?
Well, our source lays out 3 main ways to do this. Step 1 is direct pitching. This is exactly what it sounds like, scrolling through your social feeds, spotting ads, and sliding into the brand's direct messages. Step 2 is using creator platforms, which are apps built to connect brands with creators. Though, interestingly enough, the creator actually says this is his least recommended method. And Step 3 is personal branding, which means setting up a dedicated Instagram profile strictly for your UGC portfolio. But if you want the ultimate winning formula, it's combining Step 1 and Step 3. You reach out directly to brands, and then you point them over to a super professional, personal brand profile.
Now, a quick heads up. You can't just go messaging every single company out there. There's a sweet spot. You want to look for brands with under 200,000 followers. That's the golden zone, where they actually have a marketing budget, but they're still small enough that a real human being is checking their DMs. You also want to make sure they're currently running paid ads or posting actively on their stories, and that they're already using UGC in their marketing. Oh, and for extra professional points, try using an email scraping tool, something like Apollo, to find their actual email address. That way you can hit them up via both DM and email.
All right, Section 3, the value-first pitch. This is all about leading with value.
Look, the absolute worst thing you can possibly do is send some spammy text message like, "Hey, cool ad, hire me." Please don't do that. Instead, you've got to use value-first outreach. The trick here is to actually create a free UGC video that is custom tailored to that specific brand. It might take you, 30 minutes to film? Then you upload that video to a clean, professional Instagram profile, maybe name it something simple like UGC for Bob, and you send the brand the link to that post. Brands do not want to click on weird, suspicious, raw video files in their DMs, but they will click an Instagram link. By doing it this way, you immediately prove you're not a scammer, you show off your skills, and you're handing them real value right out of the gate. And a pro tip, always end your message with a simple question like, "Hey, I have 2 more concepts for you. Would you want to hear them?" Which brings us to Section 4, building your portfolio. Let's talk about the early hustle.
I want to read you this completely raw quote directly from the creator. He says, "The reason why is because this business is boring. You're sending a lot of messages, you're filming videos for free.
Yes, it is boring, it is frustrating, but it is easy once you get going. I love that because it totally shatters that illusion of effortless, overnight passive income. The reality of the early UGC grind is sending out a ton of ignored messages and filming a bunch of stuff for literally zero pay. And honestly, this is exactly where most people quit, simply because they don't want to do the boring work.
So what is the magic number to actually break out of this beginner phase? It's 6. As a newbie, you just have to put your head down and grind out at least 6 really good free videos for a few different brands. You absolutely have to do this to build up that baseline credibility and get a solid portfolio together. Because think about it, if you don't have a portfolio, why would a high-paying client ever trust you with their marketing budget? They wouldn't.
Section 5. Making good UGC. Basically, creating content that actually converts. Our source breaks down 2 main styles here. First up is the regular talking head video. This is just you, holding your phone, talking directly to the camera in your room. It is fantastic for beginners. But the downside is that the competition is super high, and honestly, AI is getting really good at mimicking this exact style. On the flip side, we have street interviews. This is where you actually walk up to strangers with a microphone, ask them a question, and seamlessly transition that into a pitch for the brand. Now, this style is definitely way scarier to film, but the competition is so much lower. And because of that wild, unpredictable human element, it's basically AI-proof. That means creators can charge a massive premium for it. The source suggests starting out with the talking head stuff to get your feet wet, but definitely keep in mind that street interviews are where the really big money is at long term. So how do we put this into practice when filming? Look, don't reinvent the wheel here. You really don't need a fancy camera. The source literally says an iPhone 12 is perfectly fine. You don't even need an external microphone if you're just doing standard UGC. The biggest secret is just logically matching your environment to whatever product you're pitching. Like, if it's a language learning app, go film it in a library. Simple, right? And as for the script, just head over to the Meta Ads library, find videos that already have tons of views, write down their scripts, and ask ChatGPT to tweak or restructure them a bit. You're basically just modeling what the data already proves is working.
All right, our final stop, Section 6, pricing and scaling up. Let's talk about growing your revenue.
Now, what's really interesting here is this base number. $40. When you finally get a brand to reply to your amazing pitch, your first instinct is probably going to be to ask for hundreds of dollars, right? Well, the source actually advises swallowing your pride a bit here. When you're just starting and have zero real credibility, quote, $40 a video. Yeah, I know, it sounds super low, but doing this gets your foot firmly in the door of the industry. Once you have a proven track record, then you can scale up and start charging $500 a video, which is exactly what the creator in our source did for a company called Roamless. But listen closely. Because the real secret to scaling your income isn't just jacking up your flat rate. It's all about performance deals. Here's how it works. You quote a super low base rate, let's say $50, but you attach a performance bonus to it. So maybe you get an extra $60 for every 100,000 views that video gets. If you make a killer video that suddenly gets 1 million views, you literally just turned an hour of work into a massive $650 payday. This kind of hybrid pricing is genius because it perfectly aligns your goals with the brand's goals, and it lets your income scale infinitely without you having to sit there and film more videos. And finally, to wrap up the money talk, here's the ultimate scaling mechanism: bulk pricing and retainers. A huge mistake beginners make is just selling one single video at a time over and over. What you really want to do is offer a sliding scale to incentivize brands to buy more upfront. So maybe one video is $200. But if they buy 3, the price drops to $150 each. If they buy 5, it drops to $100 each. This structure is a total win-win. The brand feels like they're scoring a massive discount, and you secure a much larger chunk of cash right away. You can use this exact strategy to lock brands into 3, 6, or even 12-month recurring retainers. That's where the real stability is. So, we've walked through the entire blueprint. We've seen the math, and we know for a fact that it requires absolutely zero upfront investment. But the ultimate question really comes down to this. Are you actually willing to embrace those 4 hours of that boring daily grind, sending all those DMs and filming stuff for free to build a highly scalable business that could literally fund your ideal lifestyle? Because the barrier to entry here isn't money, it's just pure consistency. I really hope this explainer brought you some massive clarity on this model. Keep learning, keep building, and we'll catch you in the next explainer.